Hi there, and welcome to Section 3, Maps and Views. In this section, we're going to take a look at the map and view architecture that's available inside the ArcGIS API 4 for JavaScript, and how the maps are containers of the data, while the views manage the drawing of that data. Then we're going to take a look at web maps, which are portable, easy-to-use containers of geographic data. And we're also going to look at WebScenes, which are very similar to web maps. However, they are used for displaying data inside of a 3D environment. Then we're going to look at layers and layer views, which is a very similar relationship to the map and view architecture, and it's how the layers are drawn by the layer views. And finally, we're going to look at the portal API, which is the underlying API powers web maps and web scenes in the ArcGIS API 4 for JavaScript. So in the first video, we're going to take a look at the map and view architecture. In this video, we're going to take a look at the separation of concerns between the map and the view, how that map is related to the view, and how the layers relate to the layer views. Just a brief introduction before we look at layers and layer views later in this section. So the map can essentially be thought of as a model for your view. The map is not in charge of any drawing of data. It's just a container of layers that refer to some other services. It also has some information such as the extent of the map, basically what region are we displaying, and other little tidbits like that. But it's actually the responsibility of the view inside the ArcGIS API 4 for JavaScript to render the layers contained inside of the map. And also going to go ahead and render the base map that's been provided. So these layers have some default renderings, basically what color is the highway going to be, but the map can override what those colors might be. And it's the job of the view to be able to interpret that and draw the map as intended. Now, when the view draws these layers, it's actually going to draw them as what's referred to as layer views. It is the layer views that are actually drawn inside of the view. They contain all of the graphics that you visually see. So for each layer that's in the map, you're going to have a corresponding layer view. One really neat feature of this separation of concerns between the map containing the data and the views drawing the data is that I could have one map model available and then have one view draw the data in one way and have another view draw the data in a different way. And this is pretty powerful if I want to use the same map but visualize it in multiple different ways to my users. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with a blank slate so that we can demonstrate the separation of concerns for the map and the view. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a layer that I want to use inside of my map. I'll create this new feature layer, and at the moment the feature layer can't do anything. So I need to create my map, and it's just going to have a topographic base map, and the layers prop array is going to contain the feature layer that I just created. And there we go. Now you notice there's still nothing on the screen because, as again, like I said, the map itself is not in charge of any drawing of the data. It's just a container of information. And right now, that container of information is not attached to a particular view. And remember, it is the view that's in charge of drawing that data. So now I want to create a new map view. So map view is what you use to draw data in 2D. And if we were doing this in 3D, it would be a scene view. And we'll look at scenes a little later in this section. So what the view needs is it needs to know the DOM ID for the container we want to attach it to. In this case, it's going to be view div. I have some other options here that I can give it, such as what the center of the view is going to be, as well as what the zoom level for my view will be. And then I can go ahead and provide it the map. The view won't draw anything if I don't give it a map to introspect so that it can draw that information on the page for me. So now when I create my view, it's going to go ahead and load my map, Remember, we gave it a topographic base map, and this is the feature layer that we added to our map that is now being drawn as well. So now that we have this information, we can go ahead and work with it and use the map view to display the data as we want. Now, to demonstrate that the view is only going to render the map information that's given, let's go ahead and set the map to null. So now at this point, the view still has the navigation tools, but there's no map to display because we haven't provided it. We actually nulled the map that was given to it. But we can go ahead and we can give it back the map that we created earlier, and it'll draw that map back on the screen for us. So you can see that this is a great way to demonstrate very simply how the map contains the data and the view is in charge of rendering that data.